and welcome back to the Mike Leaf Show here on the Warrior Sports Network. I'm Grant Wall, Sports Information Director at Winona State, joined as always by Mike Leaf, the head coach of the Winona State men's basketball team. And Coach, we talked last week, you were freshly into practice, had just a few practices under your belt. Now you've had a whole nother week in preparation for the season. How do you feel things are going so far?
They've been going really well, and we still got a couple guys that are dinged up a little bit. Max Hintz had that high ankle sprain, so he hasn't gotten back into practice, and Dan Krantz kind of twisted his ankle, but he got back in there the last few days. So injury-wise, we're in good shape. Team's working, continuing to work hard. We're kind of sick and tired of playing against each other. We're looking forward to playing some competition, and but I think one of the major things for us is that inserting some out-of-bounds plays and maybe a set here or there, or trying to fine-tune your offense a little bit. I think we've got a long ways to go with those in those areas, but this will be a nice test for us coming up, and we're looking forward to having a game.
This past week, instead of last week it was just general impressions, finally guys getting together on the court. Have you started to been able to put the kids in some game situations, different things like that, so you can really see what the product looks like?
Oh, absolutely. Get the clock out there, and you got some situations. Play. It might be a 5-minute game, might be the start of the second half, might be the start of the game, and just kind of getting yourself used to it, because many of these guys haven't played ball on our court before, and so want to get them acclimated to our surroundings. And but again, we're like I said, we're working on some fundamentals and trying to put those things into place. Rotation wise, we're a ways from that yet. And I sat over this past weekend, sat there and just thinking about this, and we've got a lot of different combinations that come into play. It's who's going to complement those others that are out there on the floor with them. So we're still working at that, and hopefully we'll see after this first exhibition game some good things.
And we'll talk about the exhibition games a little more in depth later, but how nice is it to have those exhibition contests instead of just putting them in situations on the court in practice? In an exhibition game, you can actually be in that situation, see how they respond. How nice will it be to kind of get some of those answers to the questions that you're seeing?
It's something as coaches that's that's what we need to see, and the exhibition games are a great tool. Unfortunately, if we decide and we're leaning toward a couple guys redshirting, but won't make that decision until tomorrow. But unfortunately, they're not able to participate in those games. But everybody else, it's a tool to use to see where we're at, number one. Number two, can we take the things that we've been working on in practice and carry them over into that game setting? And so you're right. You can only do so much in the gym against your own teammates. You can only run certain things in a full court setting. But once you get those officials out there and the whistles blowing and you get the crowd in the stands and we can smell that popcorn out there, that's game atmosphere, and that's what we're looking forward to.
And you can't replicate a lot of those things, in practice, unfortunately, as much as you'd like to.
Right, unless I bring a microwave and pop a bag of popcorn.
That's right.
It's about as close as I can get. But and that's another thing too, is we stress communication. We get great crowds here. When we're on the road, we get a lot of great crowds, and we've got to be able to communicate out there on the floor. We've got to be able to hear each other as teammates, and those are things that we're going to find out during these exhibition games.
Talking about the communication, you have a lot of faces that are familiar to Warrior fans back from last year. Also a lot of new faces. How are those two groups kind of meshing together as you've been going through practice?
They started to mesh day one, and you always have certain elements of new players that are coming in, those that may have redshirted last year, and now they're out there on the court with an opportunity to get some playing time. So everything's been working out well there. I think it's a group that gets along extremely well. Like we had mentioned last week, the camaraderie that we have on this team is excellent. And that's just something that we stress from day one.
Have you started to find kind of a rotation, some guys that you're going to put in certain situations, maybe kind of a top, not necessarily 5, but a top 8 or a top 10? Or is that
getting there without being specific? Mm-hmm. We're getting there. But these games coming up will really help us determine that. I think that I've seen a lot of depth. I've seen some guys that are new on board that are really actually excelling this past week. We've got a couple freshmen that actually have played extremely well, so we'll see what they do in that game setting, because they could be someone that moves up the ladder.
Leading up to these exhibition games, what's the one thing that you've really been stressing to the kids in practice?
I think being a disciplined ball player, that aspect about communication. I remember Tom Izzo at Michigan State when I'm at a clinic and listening to him speak, and he does a lot on the rebounding aspect of the game, and he was saying if you can get your guys to communicate, that's 50% of the battle, and it's the toughest thing to teach. So we're stressing some of those points, which I think in turn are going to make us a better basketball team down the line that maybe another team doesn't do. So stressing those fundamentals, those things that are going to put us over the edge. And I think that fundamentally, being able to stop in practice, correct some things, and from a discipline standpoint, it's when you're corrected once, don't make that mistake again. And that's what we're really stressing. We need them to think the game, take ownership of the game, of this team, and really learn as a squad.
It sounds like things are progressing, and I know that I'm sure you're excited for games to actually start. I know Warrior fans are very excited for tip-off and finally some basketball. You're starting to feel that in the air. It's getting a little cooler outside. It's basketball season. We'll have more from Coach Leaf here in a few minutes. On the other side of this break, though, the voice of the Warriors, Matt Prink, is going to sit down with Warrior forward Clayton Vetti, talk to him a little bit about coming off his knee injury and just what he's done to get ready for this season.
Looking for great off-campus housing? Great River Management and Sales has a large selection of houses and apartments representing many of Winona's property owners. Owners and renters rely on Great River Management. Stop by the Great River Boat at Main and Broadway and see what we can do for you.
At Hy-Vee, your health is what matters most.
That's why we offer hundreds of organic and heart-healthy foods.
Expertise in disease management and over 100 in-store dietitians.
We'll customize a diet and exercise program for you and your family.
We're your personal health team, here to keep you healthy and happy.
Friends, when you save them money on trucks, like a new 2011 Toyota Tacoma, our regular cab is under $21,000. The best-selling compact pickup for 5 years in a row. Making new friends every day at Dahl Toyota.
To Frady Caddis, anxiety of banking, money, and credit planning. To assume qualities of frightened feline, i.e. scaredy cat.
Some people have financial Frady Caddis. You go into Merchants Bank, you're not going to get that. In my experience, I have never anyway. It's still easy to do business with the Merchants Bank, the old-fashioned way. Go in and get your paperwork done, and your money's in your account, and you're on your way. And that's why Merchants Bank is...
Welcome back to the Mike Leaf Show here. Clayton Vetti joining me on set. And Clayton, finally getting back out on the court, taking on a few very good opponents, St. Thomas and the Golden Gophers coming up. How excited is this team to take on some other competition other than just yourselves?
Definitely excited. I know personally it just gets old banging with the same guys. Just going at each other in practice for like 2.5 weeks now, so it's going to be nice to have a game. And obviously St. Thomas and Gophers are a good way to start off the season, two good teams, so I think we're really excited.
Speaking of the newly added depth, 2 more Division I transfers, kind of like you and CJ last year. How have they already kind of acclimated to the team, and how is this team starting to really mesh going into the exhibition season?
Well, I think Anthony Tucker, he's really, I mean, he just knows how to play the game. He's not selfish. He knows how to make the right pass and when to make it. Caleb, he has a lot more depth, and he's definitely an athlete, so he helps us out with shot blocking and rebounding and defense. Still needs a little help on the offense, but he's definitely getting there. I think it's just first 2 weeks of practice was hard for him because he didn't really know the system or anything, but he's definitely getting it down now. So.
Looking at some of the younger freshmen, we're not quite sure yet who they're going to redshirt, and then some guys who are coming off a redshirt season last year, like Taylor. How have the new freshmen kind of adapted to this year's team?
I think definitely the incoming freshmen, like Ryan, Taylor Cameron, and Skylar are kind of adjusting to the speed because obviously it's a lot faster and it's a lot more physical. But they're doing better. The first couple weeks of practice, like I said, was kind of tough for them, but they've definitely gotten better and can really help us out. So
last year you suffered that knee injury. What was it, 2 games into the year? Your knee's finally 100%.
Yeah.
Feeling good. You don't need the brace anymore. How excited are you just to get back out on the court and hopefully have a healthy 2010-2011 season?
Definitely excited. It feels like it's been since high school since I've been completely healthy and playing like I usually can. But you know, last year was just a little difficult, but towards the end of the season started to get it back. But definitely worked hard over the season to get it 100%, and just really excited to get after it.
Maybe looking ahead at that Gopher game and you know, maybe even looking back to last season, playing lacrosse here at home, losing kind of in the home opener. How can you guys get back to a strong start and start quick, unlike last season?
Well, I think last season we were kind of struggling for leaders, but this year, like CJ's really stepped up, Ben, a couple other guys. So, I mean, we really haven't had a bad practice yet, so that definitely helps us. Last year we were kind of all over the place. Every day was a different day for us, but we're pretty consistent right now, so it really helps.
You go up against 2 pretty big men. You're pretty big yourself, though, against Colton Iverson and Ralph Sampson up at the barn. How are you kind of game planning to take on the Division I centers? Are you going to try and be more physical than they are, or are you going to try and use your finesse moves that we know you got?
I don't know. I mean, going back to like AAU, like you play against those type of guys all the time. Being at Iowa State, I played against Brackens every day in practice. So I mean, it's not anything new, but it's just different from going, I mean, to this level up to there. I mean, they're just bigger and like stronger. But I mean, I don't know. We'll just see how the game plays out. I think coach kind of wants to take us away from the basket a little bit, make them play harder defense, and get out there and guard a little more. So.
All right, doing a little bit of a player profile now, coming from a small town down there in Iowa.
Oh yeah.
Did you grow up shooting hoops up in the barn or off the barn?
I did actually. We had like a homemade plywood backboard that we had up in the barn that we take the rim off, the one on the outside, and put it up there during the winter. And then during the summertime, we had a concrete slab outside the house. So yeah, I have. It's kind of hick, but.
Being fresh off the farm too, we know you're a big farmer. What was the one animal you just couldn't stand on your farm? You just didn't ever want to see or be near?
I don't even got to think about that. It's got to be turkeys and chickens. Those things just are, I can't stand them. I can't even touch them. I can't be around them. We used to have them. I would never go in and get the eggs or anything like that.
All right, maybe now looking at your team here, you know, Luke Dodens is now gone. Who's maybe assumed that role of best dunker on the team? Is it you?
No.
Is it CJ? Or?
It's definitely Caleb, man. That guy can rise. This looks easy for him. He does that drop step windmill stuff, and it's just, he's an athlete. He can get up, and he's got long arms, so definitely him, without a question.
If you had to play one player, or maybe we'll put it like this, who's the one player you don't want to go one-on-one against on the team?
Joel, just because Joel hurts people, man. He's hurt about 4 or 5 guys this year, just elbows and knees. That's what he uses. But he has a good game. I like it. But I just one-on-one, I just really wouldn't. He's thick, and I wouldn't really want to go against him too often.
Well, now you know your big man down low, Clayton Vetti, a little better. Clayton, good luck up against you know, the Gophers and St. Thomas coming up here. I'm sure you'll do well. Your knee is healthy, so
yes.
We're glad to have you back and out on the court. Coming up in our next block, Grant Wall will sit back down with head coach Mike Leaf and talk a little bit about the Gopher game up in St. Paul, as well as the St. Thomas Tommies. The Mike Leaf Show will continue right after this.
Manoia. Fear of financial organization systems, anger over seemingly unexplainable fees. Fees, five, fo, fum.
I know some people who may have bank system annoia. I do encourage them to go to Merchants Bank.
It's a different feel.
Everybody's right there who can help them in all their future banking needs, i.e. when you want to buy that house or you want to get that engagement ring. Merchants Bank.
The bank that's service built.
Is drilled high and deep, right field, way back.
Ryan, how many acres you picked this week?
Got about 200 done. How about you?
Yeah, I still got to get my beans out of there, but the corn's all out.
Yeah, that's good.
CJ, you got that alfalfa planted?
I got that alfalfa planted. It's going to be the best alfalfa planted you've ever seen.
You going to get them deer in there in the fall?
Oh, get them deer in there real nice. Some 6 12-point bucks right there.
Oh, baby.
Wait, hold on. What time is it?
Oh, it's about like 6 o'clock, November 8th, man.
6 o'clock? I got to get up to the city to the barn.
Man, we're in a barn.
No, the barn.
Welcome back to the Mike Leaf Show here on the Warrior Sports Network. And Coach, 2 more exhibition games to be played. You played the University of Minnesota up in the barn in Minneapolis, and then take on St. Thomas back here at home. Talking specifically about those games, we'll start with Minnesota. What do you really expect to see out of the Gophers? We know that they're a talented team, they're a Big Ten team, they're physical, but what do you expect to see when they step on the court?
Just like, us stepping out on that floor, I see them playing extremely hard. I know Coach Smith, he drives them to another level, and I know that in watching, I've been a Gopher fan all my life, that watching them play, especially under his leadership, is that they are extremely physical. They come after you. I expect a lot of full court pressure. They've got such tremendous size. They can score from anywhere, and they will push that ball up the floor. And it's a caliber above us, there's no question, obviously, in the Big Ten. So I really do. I'm hoping we learn a lot from it. And, I don't want to get blown out, that's for sure. But it's another level. And but it's great competition for us. And like I said last week, it's nice that the Gophers do take on the Division II teams within our state to give us that opportunity to play in front of their fan base and to play in the barn, which is really exciting.
When you have a Gopher team that is at the same time incredibly quick and athletic, and then also so big and strong, how do you combat those two phases of the game with such athletes who can penetrate, who can create, and then who can press on defense, and also if they want to, they could slow the game down and push it into a guy like Ralph Sampson, who's just towers above everyone else?
That's a great question. That's why I have assistant coaches. So
they're
working on that right now. But it's obviously they're extremely talented, and they've got a great young group and some experienced players, and they are big and strong. So I think one of the things for us is that hopefully we've got our big guys that actually can step out and shoot some threes and play on that perimeter. So, hopefully we're going to try and bring their big guys out there, may it be a handoff or a ball screen, and try and get them to be a little bit more active on the perimeter. So that may give us an opportunity on some driving lanes, taking the ball to the basket. From a defensive standpoint, we've just got to make sure that we locate them in transition. We stop the basketball. We can't give them any easy breaks. And we've worked a lot on some full court pressure. So we've got to have 5 guys bringing the ball up the floor. We've got to work together and just be patient. So there's a lot of things that you have to do right in a short period of time. But like I said, it's a great opportunity for us.
Do you have to alter your game plan at all to combat that size and speed, or do you kind of just go out and play your game?
Well, I think we play our game. We're going to see a lot of bigger teams in our league. Where they might have a couple big posts in there and stuff. So we've got some great talented teams in our league that are very quick and get up and down the floor in transition. So we're going to see that down the line. That's why taking on this high level of a caliber is really going to show us some of those things and things that we have to work on to accelerate our overall game.
We've talked already about kind of the atmosphere up at the barn and that Big Ten environment. Does it help you to have a guy like Anthony Tucker, played 2 years at the University of Iowa, has experiences in the barn, in Big Ten venues? Does it help having a guy like that who can kind of, here guys, here's what you can expect, and you kind of help shepherd the team a little bit?
Yeah, I think you would expect that, absolutely. And it's we had been there, played there one other time, and it is a great atmosphere. You don't play on too many surfaces that are raised that high. But we're able to get there, get our shoot around in, and get acclimated to their surroundings, which is much different than what we play in. But it's exciting, and I know that we get a lot of people from Winona in the surrounding area. We've got a lot of alumni that are up in the Twin Cities area, and so you hear a lot of people that are going to be in the barn. And last time we were there, we were represented tremendously in some good purple showing, and so we expect the same.
You've had some dealings with Gopher head coach Tubby Smith, worked a few camps and had interactions with him. What kind of coach is he, and what kind of person do Gopher fans have at the head of their program?
Oh, he's just absolutely tremendous. And the major thing for me is when you sit down and talk with him, he doesn't snub his nose at you by any means. And I remember one of my past assistants, Brady Moore, was at a Timberwolves game, and Tubby happened to be sitting right behind him. And he saw his Winona State shirt and made it a point to talk to him. And he said, my God, almost 50% of the game they were talking basketball while they were watching it. And he said it was just a thrill. But he's a disciplinarian. He gets everything out of his players. If not, he'll set them down. And that's why they play hard-nosed, tough basketball. And to exist, I believe, in the Big Ten, you've got to be able to play that way. And he'll have them ready for the entire season. So you can see these building blocks that he's been working on for the last few years, and my expectations are that he'll get it done.
And he certainly has a track record of success, what he was able to do at Kentucky.
Yep.
Playing a lot of high-caliber basketball down there, and then, as you said, the building blocks in place up in the Twin Cities.
Oh, you bet. And it was a program that needed that facelift, and he's done that. He's brought a great deal of excitement to the state of Minnesota, and a lot of my relatives live in the Twin Cities, and they're just absolutely loving it up there, and so they make it to a lot of games, and it's a great atmosphere. It really is.
It sure is, and we'll be looking forward to that game and seeing the Warriors in purple up in the barn in the Twin Cities next week. One more break here on the Mike Leaf Show on the Warrior Sports Network. When I come back, I'll be joined by Matt Prink, and we'll look a little bit more at the Warriors' 2 games against Minnesota and St. Thomas.
At Hy-Vee, your health is what matters most.
That's why we offer hundreds of organic and heart-healthy foods.
Expertise in disease management and over 100 in-store dietitians.
We'll customize a diet and exercise program for you and your family.
We're your personal health team, here to keep you healthy and happy.
Manoia. Fear of financial organization systems, anger over seemingly unexplainable fees. Fees 5 fo fum.
I know some people who may have bank system annoya. I do encourage them to go to Merchants Bank.
It's a different feel.
Everybody's right there who can help them in all their future banking needs, i.e. when you want to buy that house or you want to get that engagement ring. Merchants Bank.
The bank that's service built.
Welcome back to the Mike Leaf Show here on the Warrior Sports Network, joined by Matt Prink, and we're going to talk a little bit about the 2 upcoming exhibition games for the Winona State basketball team. They play the University of Minnesota in the barn on Monday, and then face St. Thomas here at home in Winona. 2 outstanding opponents for the Warriors, 2 teams that are really going to push them, challenge them, and get them ready for the start of the season.
Well, yeah, you look at a team like St. Thomas, who came in here in 2008. And defeated them right here at McCown Gymnasium. So even look back to last season, lacrosse, another Division III opponent, defeated the Warriors here at home. So you really can't overlook any team, despite it being exhibition. You got to go out there, you got to try and win those games to be competitive.
That's right, and we'll talk about Minnesota first. An NCAA tournament team last year advanced to the championship game in the Big 12 conference tournament. 20 wins again for Tubby Smith. Seems like that's all he does is pile up 20-win season after 20-win season. I mean, that is just, we heard Coach Leaf talk about it already today. That's just a big, quick, talented basketball team.
It just seems like Tubby Smith is finally getting his players into the system. You know, a team that likes to press, like Coach Leaf said, likes to put the pressure on, and that's what they did. They needed that pressure on defense with that good front court. You know, DeVoe Joseph, the young Rodney Williams. Seems like you could name any one of those players, and they were standouts last year, and that's what led them to that Big Ten championship run. But they did get steamrolled by Ohio State.
A lot of big names on that team, and speaking of big on that team, their bigs are huge. Ralph Sampson, Ralph Sampson III, who is all of what, about 7'4", a monster down low. It's going to be tricky trying to go against a guy who is that big and who is that skilled as well.
It's definitely going to present a tough matchup for guys like Joel Armstrong and Clayton Vetti, but to finally have Vetti healthy and have Joel Armstrong either, whether he's in there at the 4 position or him and Clayton are going in and out, I think they'll do just fine. Certainly Vetti isn't as big as Ralph Sampson or Colton Iverson, but he's got that finesse that I think he can draw them out, and Vetti, as we saw last year, can hit the 3 as well.
And there are a lot of bodies that the Warriors have that they can throw at him. 4 or 5 guys, who are big players who can play in the post, can guard him defensively, and then can make him work on the offensive end. So it'll be very, very interesting to see how the Warriors can do against that monstrous front line that the Gophers trot out. Switch attention now to St. Thomas, the 3rd and final exhibition game for the Warriors. And St. Thomas, even though they are a Division III team, they're one of the top Division III teams in the country. Went 23-4 last year, their 5th consecutive MEAC title. Just a fantastic team. They're ranked 9th in the first Division III preseason polls for this year.
Yeah, a very underrated team and a prestigious program up there in the cities, and they come in here and they play every opponent up to scale. You see a lot of teams at the Division I level play down to their competition. Well, that's the complete opposite with St. Thomas. They play up to their competition and have always played Winona State very tough. Despite being here at McCown Gymnasium, not an easy place to play by any means, but they also have a very good front court. They have an All-American on that squad, much like David Johnson, who can shoot the 3 and dribble drive and create a lot of looks for that team.
It'll certainly be interesting to see how the Warriors do through this exhibition season, and then they turn right around and begin their regular season slate of games. It'll be very fun. I know McCown will be rocking. Once we get everything set up and get going and get into NSIC play, it's going to be a lot of fun to see what can happen. And it's just going to be a good ride, a lot of depth on this team, a lot of things to look for. I'm excited for the season. I know you are too. It's going to be fun to have some front row seats for what's going on.
Yeah, I think I speak for almost the entire university. If they don't know it yet, this is going to be a very fun team to watch. A lot of D1 athletes here at Winona State and a lot of D2 athletes who are just as good, and a very deep team that I think, they're picked to win the NSIC, and I think they can do even more than that.
Mike Leaf and his coaching staff have a history of putting together some fantastic teams, and this one certainly could be in that list as one of the great teams that Coach Leaf and his staff have. Well, that's all the time we have here on the Mike Leaf Show on the Warrior Sports Network. Tune in next week. We'll have recaps of these exhibition games against the Gophers and against St. Thomas, and start looking forward to the regular season and conference play. For Matt Prink, I'm Grant Wall. Thanks very much for watching.